Baseball has a drug testing policy, and Barry Bonds has met every drug test that has been thrown at him.
An inside look beyond the headlines from the man himself, Bonds.
Barry Bonds is going to have a tough time on the road this year.
I mean, what really can you say besides you suck or Balco? Or I guess if they got creative, it would be a lot more fun. They needed a villain, you know, so I became the villain all the time. And if you're not guilty of anything, why are you being charged? I mean, that's not our society. That's not the American way. I don't wish this upon any person ever. This whole thing had to do with Barry Bonds and a record.
The new sign that's just gone up near AT&T Park. They're wondering whether it might have anything to do with the steroid scandal.
You better not do this in San Francisco, man.
Well,
my fans in San Francisco and tear that billboard down.
This
like,
okay.
Oh, my dead body.
First ball swinging. Roberts on the move, and he's not going to be able to get to that one. It bounces up and over the wall.
April 4th contest versus San Francisco will turn with rain checks and Jimmy Mallett for the same seats for the new rescheduled game.
Look out. Hit him right on the elbow guard, and Bonds is aboard. It's a 6-4-3 double play. A run comes in, and it's 3-0. On the ground, a pair. Vizquel, Durham, Negro. Ball game.
So the Giants come away with a split in San Diego. We'll be back home tomorrow.
Got to go out there and get major ass pain. They're going to play tomorrow with no sleep. Oh, I won't be there for damn near game time.
Join us for all the pregame festivities starting at 12:45. Giants and the Braves in the home opener.
My knee swelled up tonight. But then after I iced it, it went down. You know, everything went down, so that's a good sign right now. And I'm not feeling the little pain. Night games, you rush home to go to bed, take a sleeping pill or whatever you can to go to sleep as fast as you can so you at least get those hours in. And you take a sleeping pill at the ballpark and freaking hope you don't pass out in the car on the way home. Just to wake up out of bed after a night game is like real hard. Man, I was sleeping good too. It takes me 3 hours just to get a knee brace on. No meniscus in my knee and I'm in bone to bone and I'm in pain. So now I just take pain pills all the time. I'm just getting old and I'm getting tired, baby, like crazy.
You got a whole lot of miles left in you, bro.
Yeah, but I don't want to run them. 41 going on 42, so my bones are like, oh no. I'd have to get into a whirlpool or something. And I used to be one in there going, ah, man, y'all, I can't believe you in the training room. Y'all so old. And they're like, yeah, you wait, Barry. One day you're going to regret those words.
Welcome to downtown San Francisco over AT&T Park here at the corner of 3rd and King Streets on the shores of McCovey Cove. As the Giants play host to the Atlanta Braves. It's opening day in San Francisco.
If anyone ever plays in San Francisco, it's a place you would never ever forget, and you'll never ever want to really play anywhere else because it's the most forgiving place in the world.
And playing left field, number 21, Barry Bonds.
The feeling that you feel inside, you can't explain that to people, and it's showtime.
Left center field, Bonds showing to right center field, and it is gone. High and deep and out of here. Already.
that I think will always stick in our mind was in 1993, first year of the new ownership, first year of Barry Bonds as a Giant, and first at bat. It was very emotional because the Giants came just so close to moving to Florida. I think people in San Francisco thought of Barry as ours. It was really a homecoming, too.
That's pretty dope right there. The Braves have always been a classy team, and they've always been just a dominating team in the National League. So, you know, they've earned that respect. The rivalry with us and the Braves was just that it was good competition. You lose, you lose. If you lose by 20, you lost by 20.
It was an amazing run those 2 years against a quality Pittsburgh team.
There goes the runner, and he struck him out, and they have him hung up. Double play.
If it came to the last innings or within the last innings, the Braves always came back. They did it all year against everybody. And they did it probably more times against us than anyone.
And to the first baseman on it. And that's it for Atlanta. And John Smoltz has whipped Atlanta into the World Series.
And now the Braves season hangs in the balance. Pittsburgh 2, Atlanta 1, with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th inning in Game 7 of the National League Championship Series.
We were playing shallow to try to take the hit away.
The 2-0 pitch. Well hit, but hooking fouled and left.
I also remember Cabrera hitting 2 foul balls out of the ballpark. If he hits a rocket like this, there's no way. The ball's just over my head. There's no way I'm going to get to it. So he took 2 steps back to try to play in the middle.
He hacked at the 2-0, now the 2-1. Line drive and a base hit. Justice has scored the tying run. Green to the plate. And he is safe. Safe at the plate. The Braves go to the World Series.
In that circumstances, in that situation, the runner's going the other way. It was a bang-bang situation. It just, hey, it was offline a little bit. I think that play crushed us.
Just an amazing series, and one that basically was the demise of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
1993 was probably the most dominant team I've ever been on.
I remember at the All-Star break going to Barry, they had a 9 or 10 game lead on us. And I said, Barry, I'll play you in a round of golf for that 10 game lead. And I remember him saying, no way, I'm loving it, we're finally going to get you.
That pennant race to us was a World Series because it was crazy.
It was really a sort of a surreal experience. You had Barry having a magical year, 103 wins.
So we had to play every game like it was the 162nd game. And I tell you what, the last series in LA was rough.
Center field, Butler going back, and this one is gone! A 3-run homer by Bonds ties the game! Did he do it again? Yes! Bonds with his second 3-run homer, and the Giants lead 7-4.
You had to keep winning every game because the Braves were beating Colorado.
Unfortunately, Mike Piazza just got hot. I mean, Mike Piazza just basically did what I did on Friday. He did on the last day.
Down to their final out. The Dodger fans standing. Down the left field line, Martinez fly ball. This season is over.
One of us has to lose. Unfortunately, it's always us or me.
Hey, go jump off the balcony and hold that sign. Jump off the balcony, then we'll all watch.
It's about time that you know everybody realizes this has become an issue.
Since you're reading, you got the proof.
This is an issue.
Hey, this is baseball. This is baseball. Go away. You wear your Braves uniform and walk away with the sign. This is baseball.
They ain't gonna break me. There's no way. They could try, but this is not gonna happen.
There are new worries tonight for San Francisco Giants superstar Barry Bonds.
We had an attorney on last night, and her opinion was if this went to trial, that it very well could go to trial, but it'd be hard to put Bonds in jail.
We cannot go any further. Stop.
I wanted to like grab one of them and just like say, hey dude, you know, you're shoving the dude, but you know, the next minute I'd probably be in a lawsuit. They'd say, well, Bonds attacked the camera dude, but basically they were attacking everybody else.
Tonight, new reports are out saying a federal grand jury is investigating whether Bonds committed perjury.
If they want to call me, hey, they called me before. They'll get the same answer they got before.
Well, he went before the Balco grand jury in 2003, right at the end, and was basically asked if he ever knowingly took steroids or performance enhancers, and he said no.
He's always said to me that at the end of the day, when you tell the truth, you have nothing to worry about.
He could be indicted, he could be convicted, he could go to jail.
He's firm in his convictions. And, you know, there's always two sides to every story.
Nothing fell on Barry Bonds. He did it all himself. So, no, he's not a fall guy. He's just a symbol. He's become symbolic of baseball's worst nightmare. The whole world's going crazy. The whole world's going Barry Bonds crazy. Everybody except one person. That's Barry Bonds.
There's no secret. There's no secret behind what's going on here. It's a little crazy. It's a little crazy. I think it's gone overboard, to be honest with you.
Does it, man? It doesn't make any sense. None. Zero.
They was falling over each other.
Tripping, man.
Get it.
So you got anything to say to your fans? Yeah, I love them.
Yeah.
That's it, dog. That's all you can do.
It's all right.
What?
We say forgive him on the 15th. You forgive him on the 15th?
That's it. I'll forgive you in 2 more days.
Yeah, 2 more days to get forgiveness.
There's no win situation for me here. I knew I was still being investigated, but I didn't know that was particularly coming. The people that are behind this, they're not coming out. All we have are sources. So let them sources come out. Bring them out. I'm never going to repeat what I said in the grand jury. I said what I said in the grand jury testimony. That's what I stated, and that's what I will live by for the rest of my life.
I think he'd be sweating a little bit more right now, because it is a federal government.
I mean, literally cannot even walk into the locker room. By the time I can get my shirt off to put my uniform on, there's 10 guys behind me watching me get undressed. It's exhausting. It'd be a lot nicer to be able to allow me to just be able to go and do my job.
Did you lie to
Who you talk to?
Talk to you about what? I don't talk to the press besides about game stuff.
So your comment is no comment.
I'm walking in the clubhouse, Dodger Stadium, the visiting clubhouse, and I look over, and that's Barry Bonds laying in a big couch in the middle of the room, his eyes closed and open and closed. He's kind of like dozing off. I'm thinking, how does this guy do it? How does this guy do it?
For several reasons, not the least of which is this great rivalry between the two ball clubs, but also the controversy surrounding Barry Bonds. A lot of animosity from the LA fans towards Bonds when he came out onto the field.
Now they love him here. Indeed they do. Into left field. Cruz broke back, now in. He's going to get there in time. 1 out.
You know, the fun part about it is, like I sat there and said, you can have 50,000 people. Boo, you got to be real good. I got 50,000 people that boo me louder than they cheer the best player on the team, which is pretty impressive.
It's always the Dodgers. That's the biggest rival for us, and that's the most fun.
It started in New York, as you know. The New York Giants and Brooklyn Dodgers. Baseball was just one of those games where you took sides. I mean, even families, a lot of families out here broke up because of the rivalry.
I bought into it totally because, you know, the Giants were my team. I hated the Dodgers.
I used to tell people, if you can't get up for a Dodgers series, you have no business playing. And I even had friends on the Dodgers. But once the game started, you know, you hated them.
I love that series. I love being in LA at that time. I think it's more the rival in LA than it is in San Francisco. I think our fans in San Francisco with LA are a lot more classy and respectful. LA, they just are, they're mad about a lot of other stuff, not only the traffic they have to deal with just to get to the ball game, all kind of crap. We don't have those problems over here. There's somebody always hit a home run to win the game, or somebody charged the mound, there was a fight or something. But most of it was knocking each other out of playoffs.
The 1-2 pitch. Good field. The right field hit hard. Monday going back. This ball is gone. Home run, Joe Morgan.
I think the rival between the Giants and the Dodgers are more in the stands than it is in the field, because there's more fights at a baseball game than I've ever seen in my entire life. And it distracts us because we're trying to watch play the game and watch the fight at the same time.
I'm a Giant hater.
Hating the Giants, it's a Giants-Dodger rivalry. What more do you need to say? The orange and the black is just a hated color.
Oh, God, I hate the Giants. You can't believe I hate them. I hate them.
I like the Dodgers, and so if you like the Dodgers, you have to hate the Giants.
Now I'm watching Dodger-Giants game, like hanging up anti-Giants posters on my walls.
Barry Bonds makes it very easy to hate the Giants.
If you're a diehard Dodger fan, then you hate Barry Bonds. It's just the way it works. Yeah.
I think Barry Bonds is a liar.
Public enemy #1 would be Barry Bonds.
He's guilty. He knows that.
Yeah, I would hate the Giants, period, but it makes it easier with Bonds on there.
Here comes Barry Bonds. 25, Barry Bonds.
One of the stories this weekend, the Dodgers have increased security because of the arrival of Bonds.
This will be the 10th walk of the year for Bonds. The 4th intentional walk.
According to the LA Times today, one guy had a bag and said, "What's in there?" And he pulled out a big syringe. The guy said, "Well, sorry, but we have to confiscate it." And the guy said, "I'm diabetic." Kemp has struck out and grounded out. Oh, he got beamed.
I have never had a problem with Jeff Kent, ever. I always thought the guy's a great ball player. He's an intense player, He's just different. He doesn't talk that much, whatever. The Jeff Kent situation, I had nothing to do with. Absolutely zero. I was sitting on the bench, and if Jeff Kent says a lie, I'll punch him in the mouth again. I swear to God. We have a rule. 2 guys fighting, they grown, let them argue. As long as there's no punches, throws, leave it alone, right? Next minute, Jeff Kent is MFing Bell in the dugout. David handles the situation better than anybody I've ever seen, because I would have fought well before the before he got the I'm whooping his ass. That's just that, right? David Bell gave him his respect. Kent's the veteran player. He backed out. Cool. What a, everybody's like, classic kid. Next minute, out of nowhere, Jeff, I'm like, dude, chill. No, you. No, that's the wrong person to ever say that to. I jumped up, tried to choke his ass out. That's what happened with me and Jeff.
When I got the call that I was drafted by the Pirates, I was like, cool. And my dad was like, why? Pittsburgh sucks. And I said, Dad, man, you're tripping. Something's wrong with you, dude. He's like, why? I said, because if I'm on a team that's got all superstars, I'm gonna stay in the minor leagues for the next 5-6 years. I got a chance to be in the big leagues, dude. And my dad's like, yeah, you're right. I always had one person on my side, and that was Jim Lehman. And anything that came out bad about me, Jim Lehman always defended me and always protected me no matter what.
He was kind of a brash, confident young player. But, after you had him for a while, you could understand why. He was a guy that you knew at some point was going to be a star, and certainly that's turned out that way. He was relentless when it came to working. He worked harder than anybody would have ever imagined. I think he worked harder in the offseason than people thought. I think there was this misconception he just walked into spring training and started hitting home runs. To look back and, you think that you were his manager at one point, you see everything he's accomplished, you're proud of that.
Best manager of my life. Best friend of my life. Best person I ever met in my life. It's Jim Lehman. He didn't care about his job He didn't care about the money. He cared about his players. He would throw temper tantrums, don't get me wrong. I mean, there was days we lost games that he'd dump over the whole kitchen and say we weren't allowed to eat.
I was a young manager, he was a young player. We bucked heads, we expressed ourselves, used some bad language, and went about our business. If the same thing happened, I'd yell at him again, and he'd yell back at me, but we'd still be friends forever.
Jim Lee was a vet. Awesome. No rule. I ain't never seen a manager that had no rules, ever. I ain't never seen a manager that just would tell you at 7 o'clock, just be ready to go.
Barry Bonds makes the catch of the sinking line drive. And then it's going to fall. Barry Bonds.
Now he lifts one down the left field line. Here's Barry Bonds in pursuit. Diving grab with a play.
His attitude was, if I'm not getting any hits, nobody's getting any hits out here, and that's the way he played.
You know what? There was always a cardinal rule. If I ain't getting no hits, you ain't getting no hits. That was just the way it was.
Well, Barry Bonds comes from what is essentially an Olympian family in terms of athletic traditions and accomplishments. His father, Bobby Bonds, of course, great baseball player, could have played football. And this family has a different reality relative to athletic achievement.
See, I had a problem. I had a famous father.
Bobby Bonds, a 2-out single, and it's 3-1. Of course I said Bobby Bonds, it's Barry Bonds.
I didn't want to play baseball because I didn't want to do the same thing my father did. And that was a lot to have to do with it too, because I had a lackadaisical attitude all the time.
He let it be known who he was, where he was from, and who he came from. He came in with a pretty boasting attitude.
When you come in as a freshman and you're as talented as he is, right away you're going to get somebody else's job. And that somebody else has friends. And so right away, you have problems built in.
And to be frank, star athletes do get some preferential treatment.
All my coaches were harder on me than they were on any other player. I separated myself from the team because I was better. I mean, that's just the fact. I was better.
The left field, looking toward the foul line. On the move is Bonds, and he makes the catch.
In my opinion, it didn't work that hard because it came real easy to him.
I always had this lackadaisical style of play. Some guys just used to offend them, and they used to get pissed off all the time, but I'm like, I don't know what you're mad at me for. I mean, I'm getting to where I need to get to.
You gotta be a little humble, okay, at times. And that's something that Barry Bonds probably is lacking.
I always tell everybody my major was MLB. That's where I mastered at. Because I think the rest of it was just a waste of time. But I did major in criminal justice, and I never went that far. I played baseball to go to school. I didn't know that this would come out like this. I just went to there so my parents didn't have to pay for my college, and I had to hear my mom and dad yell at me all the time. So I played baseball and got grades enough to go to college. I had tutors. I went to summer school twice. I mean, I wanted to try to graduate. I just didn't. And I did a major on something I couldn't even read. That was the best part. I just never could read that good. That's why I had tutors all the time. People around me know the truth. My parents know the truth. You put me in front of numbers and I'll whiz right through that. You let me play in the stock market and stuff like that. Yeah, I understand those things. I think through my growing up years, I've learned to block out so much is that I block out too much stuff. You know, working with kids to me is where I feel comfortable. We want that ball to go this way. We don't want this. There. That's strong. Okay? Now you're taking this subject right here. The same thought process. This ball's coming right here and you're going to hit it.
It's tremendous for him to come out here and talk to us. I mean, who are we?
Getting the best out of them is something that I can do. I don't know why, I don't know how, but that's where I feel comfortable, that's where I feel safe.
I think he should be a coach someday, pass on all that he knows, not only about on-the-field stuff and about the game, but pass on what he's learned through all of this.
It takes time, it doesn't happen overnight. I don't care, man. It took me a lot of years to get where I am. A lot of them. And we still don't get it right. Some days you gotta just say, forget it, it's over with. Today I just don't have it. And you got to go do something else positive. So I figured, I'm like, damn, Dad, I can't do this right now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and stay in a good position, mix in a walk or something, still a base, score a run, make a positive out of the day. But then I'm playing the game in my head only. Because then it doesn't matter. Threw me a nasty curveball, so what? He's going to throw it anyway. You see what I'm saying? But if I'm ready to play a game with him, that curveball, boom, I might boom and hit that ball right through the hole and I got a base hit. Because I'm not allowing him to dictate what I'm doing.
I don't think I need to tell you who is going to pinch hit. It will not be a complete day off for Barry Bonds. Here he comes.
Bonds will not be pitched to. They're going to intentionally walk Bonds. And this is just amazing.
No, I won't go on the DL. Everybody comes to an end in their career, regardless who you are.
You know, it starts with a young boy who, unfortunately, has been battling cancer.
What's up, kiddo? Who does your emails?
Me does.
Oh, so you wrote, but then you don't check them? So, how you been? Good?
Yeah.
You doing good? Well, that's what you said in your email.
He got a picture of Barry from a friend of ours who had some connections with the Giants, and it was very uplifting for Christopher because that's his favorite player.
It meant a lot. I mean, this is the person that my son kind of basically was his idol, in essence, and for him to go ahead and take the time to have that beautiful picture for him was huge.
Then Christopher saw an interview of Barry talking about how he was obviously very frustrated and struggling with the recovery of his knee. And Christopher said, you know, Mom, he can't give up. And that's when he said, I'm going to write him a letter.
I was getting through heavy treatment because I just got diagnosed, and it was really painful. And so when I got back, after he gave me the personalized photo, I wrote him a letter saying, stay strong and don't give up.
I read the letter and I was just fired up by it. I was just like, I couldn't believe that this kid was going through what he was going through, and basically I'm sitting over here acting like a kid. This kid woke me up.
So in September, we got the phone call that Barry wanted to meet Christopher and wanted him to join him celebrating his night coming back and how he had been an inspiration to Barry Bonds. Then they later on told us that he was going to have the opportunity to go out on the field with Barry, and Christopher was speechless.
Taking the field as a special guest of Barry's tonight, we welcome 9-year-old Christopher Laub.
That was probably one of the most powerful experiences of our lives. Seeing my boy go on the field, Mr. Bonds. Seeing them helping each other with such confidence, to see my little boy go out there.
It was awesome, and all these kids that could have been doing that, I'm really lucky.
To realize that kid could not be alive and what he's going through, and for me to not get back up on my feet to do something.
I got better by staying strong and not giving up, and that's how he got better.
We did it together. He helped me at the same time as I helped him. And so it was a team effort. We helped each other, and I'll always remember that.
He has become the poster child, if you will, for an era that everybody in baseball would just as soon forget. And therefore, he's become somewhat of a scapegoat. He's become the guy that everybody is looking to throw under the bus in order to somehow absolve the institution. There's an element of tragedy relative to the institution of Major League Baseball and its historic place in the pantheon of American sports.